Non-Bank Financial Institutions Regulatory Authority, NBFIRA, contributes to the financial stability of the local economy by regulating and supervising the non-bank financial institutions sector, which comprises of the following industries: capital markets, insurance, medical aid, lending activities, retirement fund industries, as well as virtual asset service providers. NBFIRA fosters, amongst others, the safety and soundness of regulated entities, the reduction and deterrence of financial crime, as well as consumer protection. Join me now, Tlhaselo, on the Business Kraal, the show that unpacks business, policy, investment opportunities, and trade on Gabz FM at 13:30 hours to 1400 hours Central Africa time. Powered by the Non-Bank Financial Institutions Regulatory Authority, NBFIRA.
The show that unpacks business, policy, investment opportunities, and trade right here on Gabz FM, powered by NBFIRA. We do this Tuesdays fortnightly, where we bring you an edu campaign that is powered by NBFIRA. You'll take note that I run with dollar up until the top of the hour at 1400 hours. In the very last episode, you'll remember that we were unpacking the regulation and supervision of virtual assets. And at the time, we were with Ms. Juliana White, who's the Director, Capital Markets. And there were quite a number of questions that were rolling in during the time as we were unpacking the regulation and supervision of virtual assets, particularly as she was touching base on information with regards to the crypto. So we're going to get into some of the questions that were posted at the time, and I'm happy that at this hour I have Manager Capital Markets, Re Mbiganyi Mudisa, who will answer to the questions that you were posing at the time. Welcome, Mbiganyi.
Thank you, ma'am. Good afternoon to you and to your listeners.
Good afternoon. I think it's important that we take over with these questions. We'll take note that our time is quite limited because we have to get into today's business. But let me just get into it. One of the questions was, KYC is not effective enough as due diligence. NBFIRA is a regulatory body, therefore we believe it has experts. Why can't NBFIRA craft the relevant instruments needed? And as I just remind the listeners, these are questions that were posed when we were speaking to the topic, the regulation and supervision of virtual assets.
Thank you for that. I think we can start by refreshing our listeners' memory in that from the last episode, we introduced the topic of virtual assets, including the legal framework that applies to the regulation and supervision of virtual assets. The time is now. Virtual assets are regulated and supervised in Botswana. So considering the issue of KYC, I want to assure the public that the due diligence requirements that we have in Botswana were developed in line with the recommendations from the FATF. FATF is basically the Financial Action Task Force. That is an international standard setting body. So I just want to assure you that we have one of the best due diligence requirements in terms of the Financial Intelligence Act, including its regulations.
Right. The next question that was shared is, it reads as follows: cross-border transactions should be regulated. Where does NBFIRA's regulatory function come into play here?
Yes, virtual assets by nature, they are borderless. Such transactions therefore dictate that they be regulated, especially from the AML perspective. This calls for NBFIRA to cooperate with other international, regional, and domestic regulatory bodies. So we will be working with international and regional bodies in terms of regulating the virtual assets.
Right. Where can we expect the list please give timelines. I'll couple this question with the next one, which was asked, which says, please be clear if it's legit. Please be clear if it's legit. Please be clear if it's legit, those operating the crypto business.
Yes, at the moment, there is no virtual asset service provider that has been granted a license. So the list will be made available to the public as soon as a license is issued. And we'll give periodic updates to the public as and when there is a newly licensed entity. Also, the act states that the regulatory authority shall establish and maintain in such form, manner as may be prescribed, a register of persons licensed to carry on virtual asset businesses. So we will publish this information in our website. Also, for your noting, the Virtual Assets Act came into force during the month of February 2022. So all the service providers were given a period of 3 months for them to have applied for licensing or for the relevant licensing. The transition period that we have given them is 3 months, which lapses on May 31st, 2022. So we only have few days left for all the service providers who have applied for licensing with our office. In the absence of that, we shall issue a cease and desist letter to all the operators. Hello?
Okay, and then there are the last two questions. What is your role as NBFIRA if someone is to operate without a license? Have you been given powers through an act of parliament as a regulatory body besides just taking away the license? And the last one, how do we know if the web is legit or not? Should we depend on NBFIRA for these? These are the last two questions.
Yes, that's a very good question. The Act, it does empower NBFIRA to take action against the illegal operators. The Act stipulates that any person who carries out a virtual asset business in contravention of the Act commits an offense. And there are civil penalties applicable and a fine not exceeding 250,000 or imprisonment for a term not exceeding 5 years or to both will be imposed in the event that we come across illegal operators. Mm-hmm. So the Act actually empowers the regulator, being NBFIRA, to take enforcement action against illegal operators.
Right.
And then the last question. Well, of course, there are many risks associated with transacting business online, web, and one has to do their due diligence and ascertain the legitimacy of such a platform. So as NBFIRA, we are committed to continuously engage in consumer education programs to alert members of the public regarding the activities of virtual asset service providers. So like I mentioned, we will be working with the international regulatory bodies, including domestic regulatory authorities.
Okay. Let me take this time to thank you. This is Manager Capital Markets, Mbiganye Mudise, who's the manager from NBFIRA. He was responding to the questions that were shared in the last episode, which was titled The Regulation and Supervision of Virtual Assets. Thank you very much, Mudise. We have to get into today's business with some of your colleagues.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
We'll go for a short commercial break so that we get in touch with today's guests from NBFIRA to unpack today's topic.
The non-bank Non-Bank Financial Institutions Regulatory Authority, NBFIRA, contributes to the financial stability of the local economy by regulating and supervising the non-bank financial institutions sector, which comprises of the following industries: capital markets, insurance, medical aid, lending activities, retirement fund industries, as well as virtual asset service providers. NBFIRA fosters, amongst others, the safety and soundness of regulated entities, the reduction and deterrence of financial crime, as well as consumer protection. Join me now, Tlesel, on the Business Kraal, the show that unpacks business, policy, investment opportunities, and trade on Gabz FM at 1330 hours to 1400 hours Central Africa time. Powered by the Non-Bank Financial Institutions Regulatory Authority, NBFIRA.
All right, it's Gabz FM, powered to engage your world, and welcome to the second half of the Business Kraal. We get to unpack today's set topic, which is retirement benefits, and joining us on the line, Renale Tshepiso Letsoolo, Communications and International Affairs Officer at NBFIRA. We're also joined by Queen Munyatsi, Retirement Fund Office, NBFIRA. We welcome you both, and thanks a lot for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you, Mac, and thank you for having us.
My first question would be for you to explain what is a retirement fund and the types of retirement funds regulated by NBFIRA. Over to you, Tsepi.
Oh, thank you so much, Mac, for that question. A retirement fund is a fund of which provides for the payment of a pension to a person who is or has been a member of the fund at the point of retirement. To put it into context, to qualify as a member of a retirement fund, a person needs to have been contributing towards the fund. A retirement fund, this is upon retirement. There are various types of retirement funds, but the common ones are the pension funds and the provident funds. The other simplest way to distinguish the two funds is when one encashes the benefits. That is, in a pension fund, at retirement, one can encash 1/3 of the benefits lump sum, where the remaining 2/3 are used to purchase an annuity from an insurance company of the member's choice. And in a provident fund, it is where at the point of retirement, one can encash the whole lump sum.
I want you to explain this in detail. What are retirement benefits, as you firstly highlighted, and what a pension beneficiary is, and when is one entitled to a pension benefit? Queen, maybe?
Okay, thanks. Thank you so much for the question. Retirement benefits are what a member is entitled to at the point of retirement. And it should be noted that the primary purpose of retirement funds is to provide retirement or death benefits to members and their beneficiaries in terms of their registered rules. Now, highlighting who a pension beneficiary is, there are two categories of beneficiaries. A nominee is an individual whom a member has identified as a beneficiary. And a dependent is someone, such as a child or spouse, who is entitled to a benefit as provided for in the rules of the relevant fund. Also, note that when we're talking about the dependent here, we are talking about it includes but not limited to a person who is liable for maintenance, that is financial dependent, effectual dependent. And when we also talk about children, we're talking about biological.
I think we lost someone. Is it you, Tsepi? Okay. Neo, are you still there with us? Okay. I believe we lost someone. Let's reconnect with who we lost, and we'll continue where our conversation is. All right?
Okay, thank you.
All right. It's Gabz FM, power to engage your world. Remember, you are on the Business Kraal.
The Non-Bank Financial Institutions Regulatory Authority, NBFIRA, contributes to the financial stability of the local economy by regulating and supervising the non-bank financial institutions sector, which comprises of the following industries: capital markets, insurance, medical aid, lending activities, retirement fund industries, as well as virtual asset service providers. NBFIRA fosters, amongst others, the safety and soundness of regulated entities, the reduction and deterrence of financial crime, as well as consumer protection. Join me now, Tlhaselo, on the Business Kraal, the show that unpacks business, policy, investment opportunities, and trade on Gabz FM at 1330 hours to 1400 hours Central Africa time. Powered by the Non-Bank Financial Institutions Regulatory Authority, NBFIRA.
All right, we're back again. Apologies for our technical glitch, and we're back with our conversations. And remember, joining us via telephone, Renale Tsepiso Letsolo, who's Communications and International Affairs, and Renale Gape McQueen Monyatsi from the Retirement Funds Office. And before we got cut off, of course, my co-host and partner Neo Tlhaselo is on the line. We were still in conversation with you, Queen, and you were telling us about, retirement benefits, as you firstly highlighted, and what a pension beneficiary is and when is it the right time or entitled to pension benefits. Can you get through with that again?
Okay. Highlighting who a pension beneficiary is, I was saying that there are two categories of beneficiaries. We have a nominee, an individual who the member has identified as a beneficiary, and we also have a dependent, someone such as a child or spouse who is entitled to a benefit as provided for in the rules of the relevant fund. And I was saying we should also note that a dependent includes but not limited to a person who is liable for maintenance, that is financial dependent and factual dependent. And when we're talking about children, we're talking about biological children, adopted children, and post-birth children, and the spouse of a member. Now, when is one entitled to a pension benefit? There are different circumstances under which a member may access his or her pension benefit. However, for today, I will only touch on two, being at the time of resignation and death. A member can encash up to 25% of accumulated benefits of 5,000, whichever is the greater on leaving employment before retirement age for any reason other than retrenchment or redundance. And when we talk of death, there is money that is allocated to dependents as per the guidelines in the Act. A dependent includes, like I have already mentioned when I'm talking about the categories of beneficiaries. When we talk about allocating benefits, this is the fiduciary duty of the board of trustees of a fund to investigate and see who actually is supposed to be getting or receiving the money of a member who has passed on.
All right, and then let's talk to Tsepi. How can the public keep themselves well informed to make sound decisions when investing with a pension fund?
Era, thank you for that. We actually urge the public to ensure they invest with a licensed pension fund. They can actually call NBFIRA for is it licensed or not. The public should also be aware of their rights and responsibilities as governed by the legislation of the retirement fund industry. Era, thank you.
All right, and then also I think this is also one of the same questions. I think we get but I want to find out also about the public. How do we contact you for inquiries and to register? Maybe a complaint.
We have a complaint procedure. The public access either by doing an inquiry with us via the telephone. The telephone lines get 310-2595 or 368-6100. Then our fax line also get 310-2376, and alternative one get 310-2353. We also have a website, www.nbfira.org.za. www.nbfira.org.bw. We actually have the complaints procedure in that website. NBFIRA also have social media pages, a Facebook page and an Instagram page. The public is also allowed to write to us via the postal address, your private bag, 00314 Gaborone.
Thank you so much for your time. Neo, can you close for us on your side?
Yes, just to say that if you just tuned in and you'd like to catch up with today's discussion, please go to the platform, the digital platforms that Tsepiso has just shared, and get in touch with the contents that were shared today, as well as if you have questions, 14962, that was the studio line, and NBFIRA Facebook page and the Business Crawl. You can share your questions there. You'll take note that every beginning of the episode, we start by having to give you feedback on the questions that were posed. Otherwise, we continue with NBFIRA Tuesdays fortnightly, and we bring you the Edu campaign that is currently ongoing.
Thank you to our guests this afternoon. Thank you to Mayor Queen Monyadzi. Thank you, Tsepiso Letsoalo, as well as our first conversation, Lere Mbigane Modise. Have a great day. Thanks for taking time and talking to us about those things. Bye-bye.
Good afternoon. Bye.
Have a good one.
The Non-Bank Financial Institutions Regulatory Authority, NBFIRA, contributes to the financial stability of the local economy by regulating and supervising the non-bank financial institutions sector, which comprises of the following industries: capital markets, insurance, medical aid, lending activities, retirement fund industries, as well as virtual asset service providers. NBFIRA fosters, amongst others, the safety and soundness of regulated entities, the reduction and deterrence of financial crime, as well as consumer protection. Join me now, Tlhaselo, on the Business Crawl, the show that unpacks business, policy, investment opportunities, and trade on Gabz FM at 1330 hours to 1400 hours Central Africa time. Powered by the Non-Bank Financial Institutions Regulatory Authority, NBFIRA.